our small scale group build is going to shift in focus from the 1/32 scale Camaro to the tiny little Ferrari and Jaguar duo. Specifically for this segment here, we're focusing on the Jaguar. I mean, I'm the Ferrari. Sorry, I was thinking about the Jaguar. You know how it gets, guys. You got too many builds going on at the same time. So let's take a look at what I've done so far. Now we have the chassis to the Ferrari here. Basically, it's a very simple flat chassis. It's got some nice detailing on the bottom. As you can see, I've done a bit of detail painting on the bottom. We have the engine, the transmission, drive shaft, the exhaust. We have the rear differential, which I've just installed with the wheels and tires. So basically, it's very simple. Now, one of the modifications I made to this chassis was when I snipped off the front end to make the whole front one piece and eliminate the seams. What I did was I added 2 tabs so that when I insert the front end into the body, the 2 tabs will rest against the front here and allow me to insert the body so that the front doesn't pop out as I'm trying to seat the back, as these 2 will anchor to the body and allow it to sit straight while I glue this part in. Now, another thing I did was installing the rear differential. There was a little nub or a little peg at the end of the differential, which the instructions don't tell you anything about. They just say to install it. What I found that if you don't open up the bulkhead here to allow that nub to insert into the chassis, the rear suspension sits back too far. So I don't know if you can see it here. You see where I cut that open right beneath the seats there. That made room for me to be able to insert the rear differential into the drive shaft there, and gives it a much better appearance and allows the rear tires to sit more evenly in the wheel wells. Now, the fit on this little thing is not exactly super precise, so it's a little bit of a problem putting it together, but that's what makes it fun. Now, you can see here that right now I'm creating a drive shaft tunnel or transmission tunnel, as this is just a flat floor with no detail whatsoever. And then I'm going to insert a shifter into there just to add a little extra detail to the interior. Now the body's going to sit here, more or less, and there's going to be a convertible folding top cover there. So you'll be able to, let's see, it's going to sit more like that. You'll be able to see the transmission tunnel heading into the forward part of the car, and with the shifter in it. I think it's going to look pretty interesting. I was going to widen it in the front to make more room for the transmission, but I think I'm going to leave it at this because once the body's installed, you're not really going to see much more past here. Now we're going to add a little bit of carpeting with some embossing powder, which I hope looks scale correct. This is going to be a little tricky, but since this is such a tiny little car, but we're going to try it anyway. I mean, what do we got to lose? I mean, come on, guys. So that's where we're at so far with the Ferrari. I really like this little undercarriage. After all the painting, it actually has a fair amount of detail for something this tiny. I painted the oil pan. This is all hand painted. The oil pan is done with Tamiya flat aluminum. The drive shaft and transmission are done with Model Master steel. The exhaust itself is done with Tamiya titanium silver. And then all the black trimming on the chassis frame itself is all done with a black Gundam marker. So this is turning out to be really interesting. So I'm going to keep going with this, and we'll see how far we get. Maybe this will look good. Maybe it won't. Don't know. We're going to find out. All right, guys, let's take a look at our almost finished interior here. We have our carpeting laid in, which looks better than I thought it would, as the embossing powder makes it look like thick wool carpeting as opposed to regular carpeting, but I'm kind of happy with the way it turned out. And I've also installed a shifter. As you can see, the shifter was made by using let me see if we can zoom in on that. There's our shifter there, made by using a small bit of wiring, jewelry wire from Bead Landing that you can find at Hobby Lobby. And then at the bottom for the boot, I just applied a little bit of clear cement, which I'm going to paint with the interior color. And for the shifter knob, I just put a drop of clear glue. I use Tester's Clear Part Cement Window Maker. And I just put a little drop of that on top of the shifter arm to have our knob. So I think that turned out pretty good for something this tiny. It was pretty cool because I really didn't want to leave that flat, empty floor there. You can see the transmission tunnel worked out really well. May not be 100% accurate, but hey, I'm happy with it. All right, so now we get to work on the body. And we may be putting pedals in this thing. Not sure yet. Have to see where everything's going to land on this thing. Still not really sure how everything's going to fit together. I did have to make one alteration on the body, which this little post where the rear of the chassis is supposed to land to seat in the body was not molded correctly. It was a little bit too long. So I had to cut that down so that the back of the chassis would sit into the body correctly. And I'm still toying with how to make exhaust pipes for this little thing. My idea is to build this and make it look like a Corgi model of maybe the 60s or whenever this thing was originally designed. I can imagine it was the 50s or the 60s. And make it look like a really cool little die-cast Corgi model. Something like that, which I'm a little bit of a fan of. Those old Corgi metal toys. And all my British fans out there, you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think that this is going to turn out pretty cool. So I'm very happy with the way it's coming together. Now, I have noticed that getting the chassis to fit correctly in the body, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to be able to glue all that down without, and how I'm going to hold everything in a way that I can glue it all down. But we'll figure it out. This has been a really fun project. I got to tell you guys, if you're looking for a challenging little model to work with, these Glencoe models are actually pretty cool. Okay, we're going to keep going with this. Okay, guys, we're going to be working on the dashboard of the small-scale Ferrari. And right now, we're going to be making the wooden look to this dash. And I'm just going to show you guys how I do this. The first thing I do is that I painted this with some red oxide primer to give it a nice dark chocolatey brown look. Then what I would do is I'll take some Tamiya wooden deck tan and I just sort of dab it randomly on over the red oxide primer, just to give it that just a random pattern, which looks like a complete mess, I know, but trust me, it's all going to go where it's supposed to go. The next thing I'm going to do is pick a couple of other colors, as we're going to just combine a few browns and black, and then we're going to cover it with an outer glossy shell. Trust me, it'll make sense when we go together. So now I'm going to take a little bit of flat black, Tamiya flat black, and we're going to randomly dab it also on the dashboard. Now you just want to, almost like you're dry brushing, just grab a little bit on your brush. You don't want to flood the thing with paint. Just randomly, dab a little bit of black here and there. Maybe try to follow the larger marks of the wooden deck tan. And this is going to serve to make the swirl marks that you would normally see in wood. Now normally, I'll just take these two colors, put my top coat on it, and I'm done. But since we are going to get a little bit nutty with this one, it looks more like camouflage than wood, I know, but trust me, it's all going to come together. We're going to take another brown, a slightly different shade of brown, and we're going to mix that one in too, just to see what kind of variation we get. Now, the tone of your wood is going to be based on your final layer, your top coat, which will be what gives you that lacquered, shiny wood look. So now we have some wooden deck brown, we have some flat black. Now I think I'm going to add a little bit of flat earth. I think that tone is going to be different enough. All these earth tones are what's needed to make all of the different patterns that you'll see in wood. So I'm going to dab a little bit there, then we'll just dab again randomly, just dabbing some brown here and there. Over some of the other colors. Just random mixture. Okay. I think that we are going to be good there. Now, we're going to take this mess and we're going to cover it with our color coat. Unless we throw another color in there just to really liven things up, which we have our Desert Yellow, Tamiya X59. I think I'm going to put a couple little dabs of Desert Yellow in there. Let's clean our brush off. Grab a little bit of Desert Yellow, because that's going to be a brighter color in there. Just to liven things up in there a little bit. There we go. That's what we wanted there, to add a little more variation to it. Now, I've never put this many colors at one time into one of my wood look jobs here. Now, the type of wood you get is going to totally depend on what you use as the top coat. I like to use either the clear orange or the clear red to give us either like a walnut or almost a cherry wood-like look. And I think for this one, I'm going to go with the clear red because I'm more a fan of the reddish wood than I am of the more orangey wood. All right, see now what we're going to do is we're just going to cover the entire dash with the red. And you can see here how it's already got like a rosewood type of a look. I am really liking this effect here with the multiple colors, more colors than like I said, I don't normally hit it with this much color. But I really do like the look. Now what you want to do is you want to get a nice heavy coat of the red. So that it levels out super nice and smooth. And here you go, guys. Take a look at that. Now that is a gorgeous red rosewood type of a look. Gonna have to dab a little more here because we want to get the lacquered look as smooth as possible. And I am very happy with that result there. Now we're going to set this aside to dry. And we're going to work on the steering wheel. Now the steering wheel is already painted black, so this is going to give us a slightly different look. As I painted it black because the spokes and all are going to be chrome silver, and the black base gives you a much better chrome silver. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint the chrome silver for the spokes on the steering wheel, and then we're going to do the wood look on the wheel itself. So we'll be back with that finished result. Okay guys, here we have the finished product. We have our wooden dash and steering wheel. If we can focus on that, focus. There's our steering wheel with our wood pattern in it, our dashboard with the wood pattern in it, and we've also added a few photo etched instruments there, if you can see that. There was some sort of a speaker or something in the center of the dash, not really sure what it was, but I thought that the little photo etch vent that I had there fit perfectly in there. And then there's two knobs for whatever the knobs on the dashboard might be, and another small gauge here that for the speedometer. Wasn't really enough room to put another gauge on there, so we're just going to leave it at that. And as you can see, the slight imprint of an engraved dashboard, glove box there. Not really sure if that is a glove box or not, but we're going to just leave that as it is. But I'm very happy with the way the wood came out. If we can focus on that properly. There we go. Or there we were. There you go, guys. Very happy with the way that came out. So now that's going to go into this little puppy here. And we're going to keep going on with this build. Here we have the dashboard installed. You can see how that wood looks really good in there. I'm very happy with that, along with the wooden steering wheel. Now the chrome in the center of the steering wheel is done with the Gundam marker, which I think is the best chrome pen that I've used so far. Now I also want to show you what I did in the front end here. Check that out, a real mesh grill. Now, the reason I did that was because the kit itself has a grill assembly, which I really wasn't happy with. And let's see if I can find it here. This is the nose piece and grill assembly that came on the kit. Now, the problem with that is that would have extended the nose of the car quite a bit beyond. Let's see if I can set this up for you guys here, just so you could see what I'm talking about. Let's see if we can just put it there. There we go. Now you see how much further out the nose comes than the rest of the car. Well, I really wasn't happy with that, as I felt that the beauty of these older Ferraris, the designers wouldn't have put such an ugly snout on it, and it ends up looking more like a fish. So I didn't really want to use that part on this model because I just thought it took away from the lines of the car to have this big snout sticking out of the front. So I decided I was going to get a small stainless steel mesh grill and install that instead. So I did a little more work to the opening to round it out, fill in the two small gaps that were there. And now we have a front end that really is, I think, more befitting of the car. So now we're going to wait for all of that to dry. And then we're going to install the body onto the chassis. As you can see here, we have our shifter. If you look really closely, you can see we have a small boot at the bottom of the shifter. Our shifter knob also in wood to match the steering wheel and dash. So now we have to join the body to the chassis, install the rest of our parts. So this one is coming along really nicely. I'm really enjoying this tiny little Glencoe build. So that's going to be the update for the second build in our small scale 2024 group build. So I'm going to end it here. And guys, wait till you see the next one. I'll see you on the next one.